The sexual insecurities of men. Now, this is something that I hear a lot about, and actually, we're talking about that right now on our Men's Development Excellence call, Wednesday night, 10:54 p.m. We're rocking this call, man. There's 14 guys on it, and that's super cool. And we're getting into stuff here that is, man, such a valuable thing of what guys need to talk about. There's such a wide spectrum. In fact, they're still talking. Jim and Nolan and a couple of the other guys are going into, and Gary, what happens when we express ourselves sexually, when we put us on the line, and we all want to have great sex. We want to have the best sex. We want it to just be so enjoyable. Yet, a lot of stuff goes wrong. A lot of stuff we don't know about. A lot of stuff gets in the mix, whether that's premature ejaculation to having bad sex to not being able to get it up, that affects us at the core because this is such a huge thing. All right. This actually came originally from a post on the Men's Development Excellence Board. And if you want to be involved in this stuff, guys, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, whatever the different podcast things that you have, go to the link down below. It will take you to a page where you can see the video of this, where you can find out ways to interact, but interact. We do this for a reason. I mean, this is live from our call. This is the running dialogue of masculinity. And it is something that all the stuff that we record, or the stuff that you see of me talking, because a lot of the guys want to remain anonymous. Jim doesn't mind so much. Gary doesn't mind so much, but a lot of guys don't want to be on this podcast. So the thing is it's just me talking, and there's just gold seeping out of these guys right now. I mean, Nolan's dropping some science right now. It's fucking badass. It's badass. But anyway, this is the thing. So we were talking about this. In fact, I was going to actually title this, "In order to get her off, you need to let her get you off." But that was just one side of it. See, the story goes in this is that one of the guys in our board, and we talk a lot about sex, and sex is just something that men need to be talking about. And if they're not talking about, we're making up a story and looking at the wrong stuff. And there's so much misinformation on it out there, is that he was having sex with his girlfriend and he wasn't able to make her come. There's a lot of information that we have on this. There's a lot of techniques that we have on it, but it almost seems like the answer to good sex for a guy that isn't having good sex is he's going to please women in the best possible way. And don't get me wrong, that's a great game plan to have. That's a great line to follow, but it doesn't always work out in the way that we would define great sex. All right. We would define it by our orgasms and just huge, massive orgasms, constant orgasms. And don't get me wrong, a woman would love that. But there's also other foundations to her sexuality that are there. And so he wasn't able to make her come, and she was able to, it actually hurt her. She wanted to make him come, and she got into it. She thought there was something wrong with her. And so finally, she got him going and going and going and going. And he blows his load, and she is just so like, into it that just, hey man, it makes it easy. And she is then satisfied. And then he went on to discover how she comes. Well, this got into a long discussion because this also tied into other times where he wasn't able to come, or not being able to get her off, or I forget the actual situations, but these things that just dig at us as a man. And we have such an idea of how we want our sex lives to be. And there's so much just like posturing out there online from guys talking about sex. Whereas I would super encourage you guys to be a part of our boards, because we talk in an open and honest dialogue about sex and what happens, and that there's so much more to it. So right now, Jim and him are talking about, and Nolan and Gary are talking about just the whole thing, right? We want this confidence. How do you tell a man who's looking for sexual confidence how to get that confidence? How do you develop it? How do you start having faith and trust in your sexuality? And even if you have faith and trust and experience in your sexuality, what a lot of people don't actually tell you about, because they're always surprised, like if I get insecure about sex, like, but you're the coach, you're the guy, you're the guru. It's like, dude, man, the shit happens, right? The shit happens. Because when you're in it, you're in it. Now, I have more faith that it's going to work out, and that's what you want. That's what you want to go for, right? But man, to ever be, there's so much good stuff said on this call. I mean, we've been on it for 3 hours now, but some of the stuff in life, you're just not supposed to figure it out. That's why you can't figure it out. In some of the stuff in life, anything in life, you can't be a god with. And the reason why is because it takes away that human pleasure out of it. And we always look for to fulfill our insecurities, especially sexually, with somehow being this deity-like person that's impervious to pain. In any case, we started talking about masturbation. We started talking about getting in touch with the sexuality. And this is very important as a man. I mean, and Jim is a guy you want to talk to about this. But when you're a guy and you're searching for your sexuality, it goes beyond just your dick going in a pussy. Now, don't get me wrong. That's the thing we want. We want the dick and the pussy to be great. We want the act of sex to be so good that she worships our cock. And there's ways that there's plenty of videos that we have discussing that. But the thing about sexuality is that is absolutely foundational, that I need to be comfortable with it. And so Jim is talking about this. This is actually another thing we were talking about earlier, and I'll make a video about it. But what kind of porn do you watch? Because Jim is talking here about masturbation. He's talking about getting in touch with your fantasy, getting in touch with owning that and liking that, and bringing your sexuality back to you. Bringing your sexuality back to this feeling that you feel literally in your balls, in your dick, and are willed in your mind telling you to do things, rather than normally what we have is a repression of our sexuality. And then what our mind is trying to break through, telling us to do things, which is usually a total distortion. And man, one of the things that we talk a lot about here is that a lot of violence, a lot of confusion, and a lot of dysfunction is dependent absolutely on that repression of not being ourselves and having our sex seep through the cracks and break through it. And so that's part of it. How do we get in touch with that? How do we get in touch with the love of our dick and our drive and our fantasy and what that tells us, and being okay with that? And even though it might be different than other people's, not seen as an abnormal thing that we need to hide, because when we put a wall in front of it. So how do we express our sexuality then when it might be inappropriate to the public? And it will be, but that doesn't mean sexuality is bad. That means that we need to get it out in private. That's why I always say, never take a men's group away from men or a women's group away from women. Let people be people. Let them do it so that their expression can regulate and normalize their behavior. That all being said, we go into this other thing. It's like confidence. We're in pursuit of this sexual confidence. Well, what is it? Man, to a man that's not having good sex, a lot of the times that looks like you're fucking a lot of people. A lot of the times it looks like you're dominating people. A lot of the times it looks like women are worshiping you. And that somehow is going to make you happy. But a man who's actually experiencing the confidence of good sex and feeling good about it and having faith in the process and having faith that, man, if he just got to experience a woman, it would be a good thing. What does he say? He will also say that a lot of women are good. He'll also say that dominance is great and all this other stuff, or whatever I said, and a woman worshiping your dick. But he'll say that being in touch with him is the key. See, confidence can only come from you. And we were talking about this, and Gary was bringing up drinking, and he's like, drinking doesn't give you confidence. It gives you the I don't give a fuck. So it actually doesn't give you the power of self. It gives you I don't give a fuck about my fears, right? Man, so much philosophy can come out of sex because it challenges every man at such a deep place. Cocaine doesn't give you confidence. It takes away the fears, really good, of what you might see. And see, this is the thing. See, confidence, when we have that, we have faith in ourselves. We have pride in ourselves. And confidence you have to build and work for. This is where it comes from the value of you. When we're drunk or we're high or whatever, and we're just blithering out through the world, or we're, let's say we had a really good day and we got a raise and the dopamine's kicking and all this sort of stuff, that's not giving us confidence. That's giving us an experience so that we don't feel our fears anymore and we're willing to take actions on it. So many men think that is what you're producing or in pursuit of. So many men think that is the end goal. That if I could eradicate my fears like I did that one day when I won, the little league baseball game, or when I was fucking wasted, or when a few things came together and I felt on top of the world. Because if I could feel on top of the world, then I'm not going to fear the shit inside me. And then finally I'm going to be a man. Finally I'm going to get people that say yes to me. Finally I'm going to get respect. Finally people won't make fun of me, or it won't hurt me because I'll be there. And that's what we use with our dicks. That's fucked up. You got to get in touch with your sexuality and who you are. You have to get in touch with those things and own it, man. You can't be afraid of it, because if you are afraid of it, then you start seeking sex as a means of control. You start seeing sex as something that is an object or something that can be measured by a count or a rating system, and somehow that means something about expression. Look, the only reason why sex is important to us is because it's a part of who we are, and it's a part of the values of our emotions, man. That is a fucking beautiful thing. That's what you want. In any case, look, here's the deal. Man, to our friend out there, you're already getting some ass. You're already getting some pussy. You're already getting that experience. And there's so many videos on how you could get there. Let a woman be a woman. What's going to satisfy her in sex and her foundation is going to have a lot more to do with her feeling good, her feeling pleasure, her feeling a constant pleasure, her feeling welcome, her feeling free to be herself. With men, that's there too, but that foundation has so much to do with the orgasm. This is one of those things where men and women are so different. But let her have the opportunity of knowing what it's like to have her unique self, her flavor, her brand, her essence of sexuality get your dick off and have you come like a maniac. Let her know what it feels like that after that, it changed you. Not by acting, but by actually acting how you are after you come. And then you fall asleep. But there's so much to that is just so, so beautiful, that brings out a woman in such a huge way. And of course, the other beautiful thing, the pursuit of learning her orgasm. Man, every time I'm with a new girl, I spend so much time on her pussy. So much time on her pussy. God, it's so great. It's so beautiful. Because I want to get to know it. And after a while, you move on to other things. You get kind of sick of it and something else or whatever. But, oh man, it's just a beautiful thing. Because I want to get to know that. I want to know how she moans. I want to know how she moans with my dick, my mouth, my hands, my touch, my essence. I want her sexuality to be defined by me, much as that she wants, but probably can't articulate how her as a woman, as a being, as somebody with a pussy, somebody with a body, somebody with a heart, somebody with emotions, makes me come. All of that is dependent upon you being you and her being her. And that those two things come together to make a new thing. In any case, if you like this sort of stuff, Men's Development Excellence is so important to be on these calls. Man, that's awesome. We have 14 guys on here and it's 11:07 p.m. Man, Jesus Christ, on a Wednesday night, there's guys all around the world. In fact, the guy's actually in Australia where this question came up from. He's getting an answer from a dude in Dallas, a dude in South Texas, and then another dude who's in Fresno, California. So that's just fucking crazy. And another guy who's in San Francisco, California, giving an answer. So that's nuts, man. You want to be a part of this network? Start with joining Austin Men's Development. It's free. It's a free board. It comes with the free board stuff that we have. But man, interact and be a part of it. Why not, man? Such a beautiful thing. And there's no reason why you should ever have a question about sex, relationships, sexual dysfunction, whatever it is, that never gets answered. Because that's what we do. This is all a product of the running dialogue of masculinity. Check out our other podcasts. Check out our live feeds, all that sort of stuff. We do a lot. Be a part of it. But most importantly, we want to interact with you. All right, I'm out.